Welcome back in space. My name is Bernd, and today I want to start with a ship that I didn't build myself. Recently I saw a post on Reddit where a new player who is doing the first playthrough was asking for some feedback on the ship. I thought this would be easy enough since I'm maybe not the best player, but I do have some experience in building, so I asked if I could feature the ship. Since then there has already been some changes, so I'm now working with the second version, and let's see if we can improve that further. As you can see, in the second version the energy delivery is already greatly improved, with going from a medium and 2 small reactors to 1 large and 2 medium reactors. Also, you can see the pathways are a lot shorter, so that is one of the factors why the ship has a lot less crew now. Maybe the energy is a little bit too much now, actually, since the large reactor would usually have enough energy to power the whole ship. So let's see if we can bring in the weapons a little bit closer and just run out of 1 reactor, or maybe we actually need 2 reactors, which we will see later on. Also, I would like to, in the first step, try if we can see to add some more weapons here. As you can see, the disruptor in the normal mode can do a lot more damage to shields than in the overclocked mode. So basically this overclocked disruptor is a little bit of a side grade. It is still very good because it can shut down enemy ships, but it doesn't really shut down the shields too well. So I am going to see if we can add 1 normal and 1 overclocked disruptor. In order to find a good layout for our energy and weapons, I have made a little test setup with large reactors and medium reactors. Each of them has 2 heavy lasers and 1 person to supply the energy to each of them. So let's select all of them, let them fire a little bit, speed this up. And as you can see, those in the first row that are directly connected have a lot of energy left. You can see it on the yellow glowy bits. But even here, if we just have 1 space of corridor in between, that's already running out of energy and firing slower. Here, if we have a large reactor instead, the 1 corridor in between is not really an issue, because the crew can take more energy per run, because here the battery size is 3 and here they are only carrying 2 batteries every time they walk around. Then you can see here, if we have 2 corridors, they are already slowing down quite a bit. So ideally we would want to have only 1 corridor in between, but if that's not possible, then we're just going to go as close as possible, even if it's not directly connected. So since having a large reactor is an advantage, my first challenge will be to find a setup for the front where we have the large reactor and the weapons close, but still make sure that we have the small shields and armor protecting the front, as well as weaving in some heat pipes and heat exchangers. Obviously that will take some time, so I'm going to skip ahead. This may have slightly gotten out of hand, but let's start with the first iteration here. Basically, for building principles, I'm trying to make the middle section smaller, since it doesn't really contain a lot of valuable things. It has the cockpit and storage, but the rest is basically just to support the ship, and I'm trying to reconfigure that. So that's why in this version here I only have 1 reinforced shield to protect the front, as well as of course some armor in front and the point defenses, and then I have second set of reinforced shields to protect the weapons on the sides here, and a wider shield to protect the whole ship. For weapons I also have the heavy laser in the overclocked variant, and then 1 overclocked and 1 non-overclocked disruptor to collect the heat and bring it to the back, I have heat pipes, of course, and one heat exchanger. So there is 3 point defenses overclocked for each of the heat exchangers. I have prepared a little demonstration here for you. If we add some point defenses here and let it run, then you will see that if we have one heat exchanger and one radiator, then it will actually start to burn here, because there isn't enough exhaust. If we have only one radiator, only one heat exchanger but 2 radiators, it works, because as you might know, it can absorb the 3 times basically 3 times 300 equals 900 heat, but it adds 40% bonus. So that's why we need more than one radiator here. But if we attach the point defense directly with a pipe, no extra heat is added, and this works. So basically, if you have enough radiators, you only need one heat exchanger. Otherwise, you can only basically use 2 or use a pipe. So that's what we have here, 3 per heat exchanger, and we just need to make sure that we have enough capacity. For crew, I have 4 on each side to supply the weapons and also take care of the front shield, and then another crew quarter attached for the other shields here, and also to supply the engine rooms. This is what we have here. I've basically just slept on the engine rooms and some engines, but as you can see, the walkway here isn't really very good, so I tried to add some moving walkways. But if you look at the whole ship here, it doesn't really make too much sense here in the back. There is a lot of space taken up, and I'm not really happy with this. The second iteration is doing 2 things differently. First, the shields are in the front, so they are not blocking the access to the reactor from the side. And I moved the weapons sideways, actually. If you look at the red targeting area here, heavy lasers have 190 and disruptors have 200 degrees of angle, so they can still shoot something that is in front, as long as it is not extremely close. This solved much of the energy supply and pathing issues. Like you can see, there's only one person here home. Now there's nobody home. Just sitting idly here, the crew wasn't really able to supply everything. So that was a big improvement. However, while this gun can shoot past this gun, the laser is getting stuck here. So this is pretty much a failed attempt. And this is where I then decided, okay, let's try with 2 medium reactors instead. If one is enough energy to supply everything, but it is not really viable to put so many things around that need energy from that reactor. To start the third iteration, I again went with a basic layout of weapons and shields around the reactor. As you can see, they are all directly attached or almost directly attached without having to cross a heat pipe. This is possible because I'm running one here to the weapon and the shield, and the other one around the middle to this weapon and the shield. This also gives us some space here in the middle to attach the heat exchangers, and we have a lot of space for just normal armor, which also means we don't really need another shield. And please also note how this shield is directly behind the weapon, which means it still can protect it, and that basically also forces the position here with the door in the front and one here in the back. and we have 6 people to power all of this. With a little imagination, those 2 heat pipes going down the middle could be 1. This is what I have here. So there is 1 central line going down here, and then I basically added some armor and point defense in the front. And next up, of course, is again the engines. So I put those here in the back, but then I noticed 2 things. Firstly, if we look at the command points, that's not enough. If we only have 2 cockpits, we actually need the control room, and the engines are just way too far back. So in this iteration here, I made some changes. I actually put the control room in, and if you look here behind the shields, instead of having to put more blocks for the cockpit and 1 for the heat pipe, I put the thruster right up to it, which also means I can't really connect the outside heat pipe inwards. So I have 1 radiator for the weapon, the shield, and put another point defense here just for having it. And of course we need a thermal battery to absorb the heat if the shield is getting damaged, because 1 radiator isn't really enough for that. So that's already looking not too bad, but as you can see, the way down here is just way too long. So I was trying to find something else and came up with this here. So what I did is move the weapons to the move the engines to the side again, like we already had here, kind of. But I got rid of the engine rooms because they are just too big. I wasn't really able to fit them. But it turns out they are not really needed, because we can still hit very high speeds, and simply by not having the weight of them, we can save some there, and by building more efficiently, because we don't have to build around having engine rooms, we also lose some weight, so that's helping our speed there. And of course we are getting rid of 4 crew, which would be occupying those rooms. So yeah, this is basically what I came up with. And then from there I basically made some minor improvements here to make the 2 final versions, so to say, which I'm going to explain a little bit more in detail. The last major redesign, I would say, happened when I finished this ship and looked at the stats, and I asked myself, okay, why does it say 150 here? That would mean I'm only using 100 command points, which means I can use 2 cockpits again, and that's exactly what it means. So instead of having to fit a 3x3, which is of course not possible everywhere, you have to find a spot for it, and you need 3 crew, you can again use 2 cockpits with only 2 people, and they are just 4x4s, which allowed me to redesign the middle section here, which looks a lot better in this version, I think. So I moved 2 of the thermal batteries up here and moved the others to the side, have the radiators tucked in a little bit more, and in here I have my functional rooms, so to say. So basically what we end up with is the protected front with the shields, the point defenses, 6 for the front, our weapon sections protected by the strong shields, and then we have all of that directly attached to the reactor. We have our engines on this pathway. I also had to move up this thruster a bit because I noticed that it wasn't connected, so I can't overclock it. And then on the other path we have the cockpits, which again don't really need too much energy, and then through here we can reach the hyperdrive and the manipulator beam, which aren't used a lot, so that's fine having them for off the energy. And then of course we have one overclocked fire extinguisher, and last but not least the airlock catches. This is basically what I would consider the final version, but then I made a little upgrade, so to say, or a side grade, instead of having the manipulator beam, because we only have a very limited storage space anyways. It isn't really a problem, I think, to have the crew fly out. You would usually have another ship that is doing like cargo, and there you would have the manipulator beams, I think. So I'm adding a second small hyperdrive here, which brings up the jump efficiency back up to 83, which is very high. And this also gives us back 4 crew points or command points to add 4 of the point defenses on the sides, which are serviced by this heat exchanger. So yeah, I think this is what I'm going to stop at. Development wise, there's probably more to do, but let's just compare the second version to my version here. Let's start with the weapons. This is the biggest upgrade of the new ship, and the only area where I added something to have some more firepower in line with the size of the ship. In all other areas I tried to reduce as much as possible without making the functionality a lot worse. So I ended up with less of the point defenses. However, I don't think that's really a problem, because there shouldn't be too many missile swarms, and if you have all of them firing at the same missiles, then that's basically just wasting a lot of energy. So you don't need to take out every single missile. If you can suppress the missiles enough to win the fight without taking a lot of damage, then I think that's sufficient, and that's why we have 6 forwards facing and 2 for the sides additionally. Then storage, we have the same, just split into 2 containers on the sides. For hyperdrive, you can have 1 hyperdrive or the 2 here. If you want to have the manipulator beam, then you still have, I think, around 40% jump drive efficiency, which is sufficient, I think. Then shields, we have only 4 instead of 6, which, because of the smaller area, also is sufficient, I would say, because you don't really want to have more shields. Of course, your ship might survive longer, but if they already take out your weapons and so on, it doesn't really matter if there is a lot of walkways and whatever else left. You basically want the effective parts to be protected as long as possible to stay in the fight, and that is exactly what we're doing here. Then for power, we only have 2 medium reactors, which is saving quite a bit. For the control rooms, we have 2 cockpits only, and like I said, we are using all of the command points, so I must have done something right accidentally. We have 4 fire extinguishers. 2 of them are overclocked. They are not in great positions, I have to admit, but yeah, just don't catch fire, I guess. Then we have 2 instead of 4 airlocks, which is enough to get on and off the ship. The other ship had 3 sections without connection, so it would need at least 3 to get the crew on board and to change them around. But yeah, they don't really give an additional benefit, so having 2 is more than enough. Then here is one of the biggest areas where we can save, because we don't have so many point defenses. We only need 6 instead of 14 radiators. That should be enough, and then 4 of the thermal batteries instead of 6 again. We still have a similar amount of heat exchangers in the front, and here is another area where I saved a lot. I think it was something around 32 crew, and now we only have 24, which of course was one of the main goals here. Like I said before, we don't really have space for the control rooms, but we don't really need them, so I just went with the same set of engines without the engine room, but I also managed to overclock the sideways thrusters, so yeah, that's a little bit of a bonus in that regard. And that leaves the hulls here basically, so I think from the general percentage of armor and so on, since we are a little smaller, but we still have some thickness on the sides here, I think that is looking pretty good. Let's take a look at the budget version here. It costs 358,000, down from 615k, so you could almost make 2 ships for the same price. The crew is down from 36 to only 24, which is even a little bit light for this ship, but like I said, budget version, it works good enough. Then weapons are a little bit upgraded. We have 1 additional disruptor on each side. Point defense is cut down a bit. We still should have enough for the tier or level where the ship would currently be. So you kind of have to look at it like this. There is a point of limited returns. If 3 point defenses shooting at a rocket can take it down, you don't need 8 shooting it at the same time. That would just be wasting energy. Then let's look at the speed. It goes up to 95, which is even more than the second version. Then speed backwards. Let's find a good spot. Something like this. 78 or something, which is also an increase. And to the side. Yeah, around 40, which is also way better because we have the overclocking here. Then let it turn at 1 speed. So I would say that's also around 4 seconds, and it can basically spin without moving from its space, which is very good. I also like to run a stress test, which is definitely necessary here because we have 6 people powering so many things, and there is also 1 down here that can spring in to power the engines as well if the others are busy. This is kind of a nice bonus because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each side, so the number 6 from the crew quarters can do additional engine duties. So let's put on the weapons here. And go. I said go. And then afterwards go here, go here. Let's see. Okay. They are supplying the energy, everything is up. The engines sometimes struggles a little bit depending on the crew AI and people running into each other and so on. But like I said, it's a budget version. You can't really have 100% here, I guess. And usually when you're fighting somebody, you might not be moving forward that fast. So either you're moving backwards or not 100% forwards. So that should be fine in most cases. Let's also activate all of our point defenses for a moment. You can see the heat is going up here, but they are all firing. The point defense also needs to share the heat capacity of the thermal batteries with the shields, but here again it's unlikely that all of them are firing all of the time and the shields are going down at the same time, so hopefully the heat budget should be enough to deal with all of the fights. Last test will be hyperjump. By the way, I just noticed that there was a corridor here in the incorrect place, so I brought it between the hyperdrives so people can switch between the sides. Let's go. As you can see, they are picking up the energy, bringing it here. Looks good. And that brings us back to our testing area. This is something I would like to put in as a disclaimer. I learned something while I was building the ship. I think I said in the beginning that the normal disruptor is better against shield than the overclocked one, because it has more damage and power drain per shot. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. If we turn on the big shields here again, and this one is not overclocked, and this one is overclocked. So if we pause real quick and target the shields, then you will see that the overclocked one is destroying the shield quicker. This is because the debuff, it basically doesn't really deal as much damage per shot, but it every shot is applying damage over 5 seconds, which is more in total. So against big shields, it is taking it down quicker. There is something to keep in mind. Let's fix it up real quick. If we disable the big shields and shoot at, let's just shoot at nothing real quick. So at the same time we are shooting at the small shields here. And let's see which one goes down first. As you can see in this experiment, it was the right shield, which is actually the non-overclocked one. So the normal disruptor without overclocking will take down smaller shields if it can destroy them before the damage ramps up on the other side here. And it also has more penetration. So if you have more multiple shields behind each other and want to take them out, then this can actually be helpful. But in most cases, the overclocked disruptor is better. So if you want to make a new version of this ship, then maybe having more overclocked disruptors is actually the better choice. So with that, I'm at the end here. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked it. If you want to have your own ship featured, please don't make it so good that I can't improve anything, but feel free to put a link in the video description and I will have a look at it. I'm out. Have a nice day.